I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I will add one position under appointments.
And consideration of the minutes.
They should be included in your packets, and barring any errors or omission, I would recommend approval as written.
Second?
All those in favor?
Okay.
Any public comment?
Yeah.
All right, and then we have a presentation.
Yes, we have winter sports. Due to some scheduling conflicts, we are down to one coach here tonight. So we have Coach Grant from boys basketball, and then we have some representatives from boys basketball and a lovely great representative from cheer. So they're going to come up at one time together, talk a little bit about their season. So I don't know if you want to just maybe I'll get started down that way.
Go. Brian, I know how much you love seeing
Yeah. I'm Brian Grant, coach of the boys basketball teams, A and B. We had another great, successful year. B team won the championship, A team was runners up. I believe they all had a good time. Practice was fun to come to. Even after a long day at work, it's nice to go to boys and get to laugh a little bit. So it was a good season overall. Proud of them, a lot of improvement. And I've got my A captain here, another A player, my two B captains, and then another player from B team.
Pretty proud of our season as well. Runners up is not that bad, honestly. I want to thank, obviously the coach, had a great 3 years with him. And
Just three?
3 school years.
The rest of them?
That's kind of what I mean.
Chris? How was your season? Don't be shy. Good. Okay, Grayson, what do you got?
I had a good season. First year playing school basketball with Brian as coach. And it was just a fun season with everyone. Winning the championship, that was fun, especially with all the other BT players. A lot of my friends. So it was a good season overall.
We had a good season, I would say, made it to championships for the second time. We both won. We won both times. Everyone, I would say, made progress because at the start it was me and Grayson scoring mostly, and then everyone started scoring more. But yeah, I think we did good overall.
yeah, I had a really fun and good season. It was really fun playing with all my friends, and we did good.
Before we move to cheer, did any basketball players learn a new skill or get better at a skill from the start of the season to the end of the season?
So I feel like I moved the ball a bit, passing wise. At the beginning of the season, I was really just trying to score and stuff and trying to progress my scoring. But then I shared the ball and I was getting 5 to 10 assists a game, and I felt that was better than scoring and sharing with my teammates.
All right, this is my first one a lot this season as well.
I did notice a lot of great teamwork on both the boys teams this year. The girls team as well, we still have a girls basketball center. Anything else from basketball before we move on to Canada?
Our season was really good. There was a lot of new cheerleaders, so it was kind of harder to, make everything hit and stuff, but it was really good. I had a lot of fun, especially being captain. long practices and stuff. But yeah, I think we had a really good team.
How did you guys do in your competition this year?
Good. I mean, the highest we placed was second, but we still did really good. We did.
Second is pretty good.
Yeah.
We didn't have a best ball in any of the comps, so that was really good.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Since there are a lot of new systems, do you find yourself teaching something or something that you are?
Yeah, definitely. Demonstrating, doing a bunch of stuff like that.
Well, great.
And
Thanks for
it's
coming in.
it's not easy to get in front of this group. in particular.
We're a tough crowd.
So I appreciate you coming out and doing this. Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, You did a great job. Thank you. And it's a school night. Don't feel like- This is boring, so please go. Don't feel like you gotta be here.
I think you guys are all safe.
Do you want to talk about balls?
Yeah, you did good.
Yeah. I know how I want to talk about it. All right.
So moving on to old business.
Yep. So you have policy EBBD, temperature standards, JL, student wellness, and IJOC, school volunteers. All three are for your second reading. You had no changes last time. I'm happy to run through all of them individually if you want, but with no changes, I would recommend approval as written.
Yes, motion to move E, B, B, D, J, L, and I, J, O, C.
Yeah.
Since I wasn't here last time, I was just wondering what schools the school called this, is it like a review?
So a nutrition audit came through, and it's one of those things you have to update every 3 years. There were minimal changes there. It was the committee members and how often they have to meet. Everything else you already have in place, yes. Other questions? Yes. Michael, motion.
Second.
All those in favor? Moving on to new business.
Bill warrant is circulating. And that. And then you have your revenue sheet. If you recall, when we voted on the budget, one of the things I said to you was that while the budget is what it is, it's not relevant to what happens to the town until you have subsidy, which came out late February. So you have that sheet in front of you. I'll run through it very quickly so that you have any questions answered. If you look at the overlay, up top is the, oops, sorry, hold on. Flipped on me. Up top, you have the overlay for Orrington, which if you look at anticipated and unanticipated, that's what we call carry forward. That comes to 440. We have no state debt service now, that's zero. State foundation allocation, which is your subsidy, is $3,685,238. Local allocation, which is what you have to raise to get that state subsidy, is $2,917,524. The additional local, which is that secret ballot vote that's above and beyond, is $2,157,814. That brings your grand total for the budget for this building to $9,200,576. That is your overlay. When you look at your gross budget comparison, which is the sections below, it kind of breaks it out so that you can understand it a little bit further. The increase for this year is 6.78% to the gross budget, which is $584,548. The local appropriation from that, which is how much the town has to raise additionally, is $588,755, which is 13%. The reason for that, when you go to the next two sections, is the drop in subsidy, which is about $10,000, 0.27. But then your big piece, which is what shifts your local requirement, is the increase of state valuation from $460 million to $516 million, which is 12.28%, which means you kept pace with the rest of the state. The rest of the state was just at 12.7%. And so typically that's set by the southern half of the state as far as what that pie becomes, because if you take whatever we're up to now, 1.3 billion in subsidy and divided out. It's based right now solely on property tax and student count. Which means that in Orrington, because we kept pace with the southern part, we did not see that significant shift in subsidy. There are a couple other factors that come in there, but just if you're talking about the state's view of the 279 or state subsidy, the two biggest factors are student count and the property valuation. If you look at that, if you raise 10 million on that amount, you're about 565,000. If you raise 11 mil, which is closer to what Orrington's at, you're at 621. That's really where those numbers are coming into play. When you talk about our tuition, though, one of the things that we've started to overrun is that as our high school numbers are dropping, which they are, this year we dropped about 18 in high school, which typically would have been about 180,000. Because the cost of education is going up so much. If you remember, the John Baptist and Brewer both were up over $1,200 per student. So what we should have seen in savings there, which also equates to some of that reduction in subsidy, is overrun by the cost of student tuition to go there. So Baptist is now over 15,000 and Brewer's over 12 per student. And so what that's doing to us is, even though we had planned, which is how we got to the 7 years without an increase, to phase these students out of high school and be able to offset it, the inflation rider is overrunning it so significantly that you're not capturing it. Tuition this year, even though we had 18 less students, still went up 150,000. That's really where we're starting to see those numbers really kick in, which is also, I mean, not just on high school, what you're seeing kick into our K-8 population, because as those inflation numbers are hitting, you just aren't able to outpace what that cost is. We have a couple other things that went in there, like special ed jumped 205,000. Those are all though based on your student needs. It really is coming back to when I started 12 years ago, minimum wage was $7.50, and that's now $15.10. And that's what's happened in that time. I mean, that's just where we are. So I can run through any specific questions you have on that sheet, or I can run through any questions you have about the budget, which you voted through last time, but it will not be received well, so it's one of those things that I will navigate, but I just want to make sure that if you have questions, you're aware of it now, because it's just the cost of doing business. You have added 0 programs here that are funded by the town.
Just because I suspect it will come up, can you compare the increase, and I won't hold you to the number,
Yeah.
hopefully previous year, so if you kind of, so like last year when we presented it, we said it's an increase of this.
So last, you should see it on your cover sheet. Last year was a 5.45% increase, which was 625,000. One of to the locals, which was 16%, that was because we dropped 330 in subsidy last year.
Okay.
If you want to go back the year before, hold on, I can tell you. So the year before, we were still at the 7 years of Harmony, where we had a 0% increase to the local. We dropped 89,000 in subsidy, but we were able to utilize more carry forward money at that point to offset that.
Right, sorry. Which number is it that we're asking this down?
For us, as far as you mean the total local appropriation versus the increase in the budget?
Yeah.
It's your third section down, 588,755.
So, Ryan's program, Jimmy's program, that's funded.
Yeah, 100% funded.
funded.
So for the students in there, it's funded under the pre-K program for special ed, so that should be 100% funded as we go forward. With the understanding that the state can always change those rules. Legally, we were gonna have to take it, not this year, but the following year anyway, so we took it to harness the funding. Right now, it's 100% solvent. The flip side to that will be as they age out and go into 5, 6, and 7-year-olds, they will become ours. But they would have always anyways,
Yeah.
so that's a apples to apples kind of thing. Other questions?
had mentioned at the last meeting, I think, when the numbers came out, that you hadn't yet that information.
Yeah.
from us. And there were thoughts of, do we need to hold that meeting because you don't have meeting on this?
Right.
Have you given any more, is that meeting still valuable in terms of budget discussions? Or?
Yeah, so I think it is, Chris and I have been working on with the charter and all the other things that are being updated, does it make sense to move in a month or not? Because the other thing we run into is having it all ready for the February workshop is a little bit early as far as being able to tell where we're at. We can do it, I just don't like to put a number out there and shift it, because then it feels like we're trying to play a shell game and we're not. I think we'll ultimately end up moving that to March so that we just have all the numbers. And it really depends on the state and where they're at, but in all fairness to the state, it depends on when the audits from schools come in, or the fourth quarter uploads anyways. They're supposed to be in by a certain time, but if they don't hit it, they don't have any idea what was spent last year. And for us, the tuition number as a pre-K school isn't set until about the middle of December. So while we project it out, we don't know what that is going to be until it happens. And that really makes or breaks our budget. When we had 20 students move out, we paid the department. When they move in, we freeze the budget, so.
I want to know when the early February discussion.
Yeah,
Even
yeah.
though the numbers are on hold.
Right.
And I know you're right, so they can show me.
Yeah,
I find it an interesting beginning.
yeah, absolutely, and look at where we're at.
Right, if it came to a warrant question and you move the whole business.
Yep, and we may do that if we can, just because I want to be able to give people an honest, like this. The budget you voted through last time has an impact of 588,000. And I can speculate, but I don't have that number because there's too many moving parts. Other questions? All right, well, I'm gonna give her some.
All right, moving on to reports. Judy?
You have our report. We are hearing for our in-service statements Friday. We have in-service statements this morning and talked about what we've been doing. The practice offers some really great webinars, so we're going to take a couple of those, and then we'll also have some time to work on our ELA curriculum session over advocates and programs right now, so we'll do that. Lots of stuff going on, as always in this building. Wanted to thank Mrs. Pelkey for the winter sports season. That was certainly a busy one and a successful one, but with it, of course, comes a lot of moving pieces that she needs to stay on top of, and she did a great job. That's it. Any questions for me? All right, numbers on high schools coming up too. They're starting to turn in applications and things like that now, so.
Well, that's happening.
There it is.
Sharon.
I have my letter in your packet, and you saw the presentation tonight. A lot of this is about wrapping up winter season. I did want to highlight that through our basketball teams and cheerleaders, we had 14 eighth graders who will be moving on to high school. And with that, though, they have done a great job with just their leadership skills in bringing in some of the younger players and teaching them new skills, encouraging them, forming friendships and modeling teamwork, things like that. So it's just been fantastic for the eighth graders. Jazz band ended up qualifying. They had a jazz festival mid-February, so that qualifies up to the state competition. It's kind of weeks, so that's a lot of good things happening there. And then the other thing I wanted to highlight is that February was School Counselor Appreciation Week, and March was School Social Worker Appreciation Week. So publicly, I just wanted to thank Sarah Miller and Karen Harris for all the work that they've been doing in our school and our students to making sure that everybody is feeling supported and valued and that they make things. Any questions for me?
All right, and then Jill?
So
focused a lot on rising previous meetings, so we talked more about kind of like the skills program and what's been going on there. We've been doing all of our trainings for our alternative assessments that are coming up for the students that qualify for that. That testing window opens next week. So getting that going, lots of business happening there, but beyond that, we've been getting the kiddos out to see more things that might be of interest to them. And different hands-on opportunities for learning. We're going to the University of Maine to dissect a squid. If they're interested in any of those types of things, we have a student who will be going to Brew next year. She is very interested in taxidermy, so why might explore that? So we're going to take her to that program in Belfast to go and learn about those things that students can do, both hobbies and careers for them, possibly. So trying to get them to meet some kiddos that they will be in school with in Brewer next year and learn about some of our trip with them. In that program to develop and collaborate with those teachers and have them get to know our students. And also our students, some kids that we're going to be going to school with for the next 4 years. Yeah. Any questions for me?
And then.
Yep. We have my report. We've covered it through the purpose of this agenda, except for negotiations and personnel, which I'll go through next. So, barring any questions from me, I will submit it as written.
And then, Mike, do you have anything?
I don't, somebody in your packet is the John West meeting. There's 2, maybe 3 things to point out. That there's a new individual on the board of trustees. One has resigned. They're working on building projects. They're well-funded. There's a new head of school, Dr. Sally Maxwell, and that's about it for me.
And I didn't go to the board meeting last night, because we had another meeting. All right, moving on to, personnel.
Yep. Under appointments for principal, Sharon Pelkey. It's non-negotiable.
Congratulations. We are all very excited.
And then under resignations, the ending of Mayor Pauline Miller, music teacher, with regret, and George Miller.
Yes, well, we will accept both of those with regrets. Feel different around here, without both of them, but really without Colleen.
36 years, I think it was. Yeah.
36 years.
Yeah. Yeah. If you don't include a student.
Stay with us till the end. Okay, and then, any other public comment?
So Emily and I are here on behalf of the teacher union. We first wanted to say thank you for all of your support and our administrators are always supporting us. Otherwise, so much easier. In regards to our goal is always to hire the best teachers, retain the best teachers, and be proud of our school. And so James and I worked hard on creating a contract that entices people to want to come here, and they want to get here, see how great we are, and then continue to want to stay. So we worked hard on that. Reviewing that tonight, so I would just say in the back of your mind, remember that our goal is, in most years, we really have a lot of people moving, and it's one of those things that we tried hard to keep people here, and that really is our goal. So a lot of them program, and the contract, of course, is
My privilege.
it's nice to have such a nice relationship that it's never a battle, it's always what can you do, so that's beautiful.
Anyone else?
Just here for moral support.
No, we
We're like the ones on the end of the line.
Right.
I think the key to what Karen said is we're a team, and we've got to figure it out, whether we agree or not, we always figure it out, and that's what matters.
We appreciate all of you.
If you don't want any teachers.
COVID, COVID taught them a lot.
Yeah.
All right. So we're gonna go to executive session if there's no others. All right, thank you all. You were good, Frank.
Okay.
Yeah, please.